Just if you're curious on what you might find in your local garden center around this time of year, we thought we'd go through some options.
Oh, you got Little Bing and Big Beef.
Beef. It's kind of like when you go to Costco and you're buying a couch and it looks a lot smaller in Costco than it looks in your house.
And the young man makes his way to school past the pussy willow.
Bringing plants inside and bringing them outside, but let's actually get down to the nitty-gritty of that process, hardening off.
Yeah, well, like I heat my greenhouse year round. I also pay NMAX $3 million a year.
Welcome back to the Helpful Gardeners podcast. Welcome to spring and what's been going on around the garden center, right? I think what's the coolest thing for me is seeing the transitional period, not only outside, but also within the greenhouse, because we are very seasonal here.
Yep.
I think one of the first things I saw with some of the bulbs that were coming in, and then we actually do this really cool thing at Golden Acre where we plant up perennials, like baby perennials, and we nurse them to become nice and big and really well suited for our gardens here in Calgary. But I mean, we've also been seeing a lot of cool things popping up in the houseplant department, and even though it's a little bit too early to plant, it doesn't kind of prevent you from having a lot of fun and looking forward to the season ahead. So we thought we would take some time today, and just if you're curious on what you might find in your local garden center around this time of year, we thought we'd go through some options.
Yep, and there's certain markers, and that's what I'm all about. It's things that I don't care about calendars. I don't care about dates. I'm the guy that I won't remember birthdays, anniversaries, things like that, but I remember times and emotions.
Yeah.
And when we go back, and you touched on it, the perennials, and we're starting them at the beginning of February. It's the middle of February, and it's cold and it's snowy. It's still dark, but you walk back there, and it might be minus 20, but the sun is coming through the Lexan. And say Jen, working back there, is just watered, and you get that smell of the earth.
Oh yeah.
And you see everywhere soil and maybe some little buds coming up, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
We're almost out of the woods.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
And I've been obviously posting a lot of what we've been getting into the greenhouse lately. And, it's been sparking a lot of questions online about, sort of like, we can't plant yet. So,
Nope.
Why are we seeing these things in the garden center so early? And so I thought, let's take a look at some of the things we have, maybe some of the reasons why it might benefit you to buy these things now as opposed to later, what you can do with them in your own home, and also just some like things that you might keep in mind with regards to buying them now and putting them out later, right?
Yep, 100%.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is one of the most iconic things that you see at garden centers this time of year. These are called pussy willows.
Jenny's favorite.
So where do these even come from?
Willows.
Literally like from a pussy willow
Yep.
tree, or is it a shrub?
Intermediate tree, yeah, like pretty tall. Multi-stemmed tree, but they don't have like huge limbs on them.
Oh.
Now, again, there are different ones. So I remember seeing them in England.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and there was, when I used to walk to school as a kid, my elementary school, there was like a part of the way we walked, and there were no cars. It was kind of past some cottages and by a field. Not idyllic. It was like an industrial area. It's like not some like,
Wow.
Yeah, it's like David Attenborough narrating.
And the young man makes his way to school past the pussy willow.
But I always remember there was a fence line. And there were trees, but they weren't like the huge big trees, but they were pretty stocky, and pussy willow branches, because I always remember seeing them in England. It was probably mid-February.
Oh, cool.
When we'd start seeing them come out, but that is one of Jenny's markers. She's always looking for them on the trees, and she's out, and when she sees the tiny little ones just starting to emerge,
Yeah, this was one of the most popular things I saw at our little seed swap that I went to a few weeks ago. Lots of people going out the door with one of these. What's really cool is like how soft they are. They feel like if you can imagine, like when you pet a cat and then you get to the tail and that soft feeling of the tail, it feels like exactly like that.
And the benefit is you can pet it as many times as you want, and it's not going to turn around and go,
Yeah, true enough. Eh? But I was actually curious about this. Is this part, so like the fuzzy part of a pussy willow branch, is that technically bud break?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah?
Those were all the buds, and they're breaking out, and like, is this just for display? Is it going to go back downstairs, or can we pull one off and take it apart? We're pulling one off.
Okay.
Because we're allowed to. So the best part is, and obviously you can do this in the wild too, but if you get a chance, and you want to make sure that there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them, you don't want to be taking rare ones, but always pull something open.
Oh.
And I don't know if we can see that inside, but sure enough.
Let's see.
So yeah, like when you see that happening, oops, I dropped it. So that's what I always like to do, and we've done that. I mean, on GA Kids TV, remember we cut open a cactus.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Right, and that's always and I get it can be hard because we look at them and they're so beautiful. But yeah, that's why it's such a sign of spring, because they're all these type buds, and then they erupt, and then they. Whew,
yeah.
And it's amazing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep.
Okay, so that's one of the cool things, and they make a really cool decor piece for inside the house as well. Very interesting. The second thing that we see...
It's so freaking soft.
Oh, I know,
too.
right? It's addictive.
Yeah.
But the second thing that we see a lot here in Alberta, at least, are pansies. And these are the things that we have in front of Colin. Colin, you called them Miss Frizzle.
Yeah. They're frizzle snizzle or something.
So this is kind of a different variety of pansy. I mean, we've got the typical pansy that is just nice and gentle, and this one's just nice and frilly.
And I love the different colors.
Yeah, exactly. You can get them in so many different colors, and what's cool about the pansy is that it's more hardier.
Yep.
So they can kind of withstand more of the chillier temperatures. Obviously, not like the hard frost, but like these are ones that you can kind of be bringing outside a little bit during the warmer days, right?
Yeah, and it even says on here, add color to early and late season gardens.
Hey!
So now again, they will tolerate light frost, especially in the spring. Mm-hmm. Heavy frost, they're not gonna last. So keep your frost blanket handy. Mm-hmm. Bring them indoors at night. You've got the options. But yeah, pansies. Just this week I was downstairs talking to our good friend Kaylin.
Yeah.
And we were going over some things, and I just happened to look over at the cache, and somebody was going out, and they have their cart, and the top tray was just filled with pansies.
Wow.
And I was just like, yes.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
They're going to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody just color. People want the color.
100%. What's something else that we have going on this time of year? I think you're going to find a lot of herbs in your garden center this time of year. So what is this one? This one is Italian oregano. Yeah, so I didn't realize that there was like 3 different types of lavender. There's the English one, the Spanish one, and then the French one.
But you know what I think is important too about the herbs? So maybe you don't want to use this for cooking. Maybe it's a bit young. You want it to grow a bit more, blah, blah, blah. But I'm bad for this. I'm not going to even project here. I always talk about in the winter the lack of color.
Yeah.
But also the lack of fragrance. You go out in the spring and you've got all the crabapple blossoms and cherry blossoms going on. You've got herbs. You've got flowers opening. You've got the smell of the wet earth. There's so much more happening. And we miss all of those smells and bringing those herbs. Like you just putting them on the table, you could smell them. And like, I was talking earlier to you, and we were talking about what I was seeing on Nose Hill.
Yes.
And the prairie sage. And I gently just did that, and I was just like, oh. And it, again, that whole thing in my brain, and it's all of those senses, the colors and the touch, the textures and the fragrance. It's also important at this time of year.
I completely agree. There's also a really striking flower that we see this time of year as one of the first ones that come into the garden center.
The classic.
The classic geranium.
Yeah.
But it comes in like a few different sizes. So we have the smaller seedling geranium, and then we've also got this big like 4.5-inch pot with the big flower all ready to go and everything. So you can get like the couple of different sizes, and we'll talk more about sort of like what the benefits are between both coming up. But it's really, I love this one.
Yeah. He's going to build a wall of flowers in front of me. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'll take all the flowers.
And then, of course, we've got a whole bunch of fruits and veggies coming in, too.
Gotta love it.
Right? So, obviously, we have tomatoes, which we've got the I got this one because of the name, Little Bing tomato. And this one's even got like little flowers on it. These are all greenhouse grown.
It sure does, yeah.
Yeah, and then this one's called the Big Beef Plus.
Oh, you got Little Bing and Big Beef.
Beef.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
We're talking about fragrance. Do you like the smell of the tomato plant?
I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
I and we actually had a soap fragrance come into Golden Acre like a couple years ago, and it was tomato leaves, and I actually
Get out.
yeah it was like the coolest thing. I really liked it, but maybe it's kind of like cilantro where some people like it and some people don't like it.
I know some people I've heard some people don't like it, but I know some people they don't mind it, but it's almost like hyacinth. They can find it too overpowering.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's one of those smells of spring. But even in the summer when I'm harvesting and I'm in the tomato plant, I just love the fragrance of it.
Oh, it's so good. Why do we like the smells that we like?
Yeah, I think because it reminds us that we're growing food and we're outside and fresh air.
Yeah.
What do we got here?
This one's called Patio Snacker, and it's a cucumber.
It's more like a cucumber.
Oh my God. It is a cucumber. So this one,
that one's...
Oh, bye.
See you later.
What I love about this one, this is called the Golden Zebra Zucchini. And you can see it's already like getting pretty established there, right?
Oh yeah, they don't take much to get going.
Look at its little seed on its leaf still.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I took it off. I'll put it back on. I'll put his hat back on.
Oh my God.
Actually, no, because you can see where the seed has been. It's shaded out, so it hasn't actually developed properly.
Oh, that's cool.
Guess what?
Bye.
See you later. Yeah, it doesn't take. Wow, that is beautiful.
I know, right? It's something where I don't really.
It's almost like a carrot.
But like I don't remember seeing that in the usual annuals department. Unless it's something new this year, maybe?
I don't. But then again, in all fairness, I don't particularly like zucchini. So I'm one of those people, I don't grow them. Nobody in my family, we're not zucchini eaters.
Yeah.
I don't like, I remember, oh my God, years ago somebody made, you remember when they started making chocolate cakes with zucchini?
No, you don't like that? I love zucchini chocolate muffins. With like chocolate chunks in it. Oh, it's so good.
No. That's a no
Do
for
you like
me, dog.
zucchini loaves?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I don't like it. So in England they call it courgette, which is the
know.
French. Yeah. It's still just as gross.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
I don't know. It's do you want to? I don't. It's something mental or whatever. It feels like a cucumber that has like turned to wood.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I find them like I don't like the flavor. There's not a lot to it, and it just seems like you're chewing it forever. And I've tried it raw. I've tried it cooked. I've tried it in stir fries. It's one of those where you're like, I don't like zucchini, and people seem to take it as a personal challenge, and they're like, you're gonna like my zucchini.
Oh my God. Are you the same with eggplant though?
Eggplant, no, I like eggplant. It has to be done right. I find too many people mess eggplant up.
Okay, yeah.
But when it's done right, fantastic.
Yeah, you like it. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting. One of the other cool things that you can find this time of year, one of my favorites, is strawberry plants. Like you wouldn't think in Calgary, Alberta, that you would find strawberry plants this time of year and this established. But this one, you can just see it's even got a little flower starting to form.
Yeah, it does.
And this one's called the Montana strawberry. So I would assume it is. I don't think this is not from Montana. We usually get our things from BC. So yeah, but it is like meant for the northern climate, which is really cool. So we have things like that, fruits, vegetables, flowers that we're starting to bring in. And yeah, you can't go and plant these outside, at least in Alberta, until the last frost. And I know the last frost rule works across the country, but it always happens at different times.
Yep.
So you're always going to find different things at the garden centers where you are. I was just like literally looking at Amsterdam Garden Center out west, and like the kinds of things that they're bringing in right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like 4 weeks away from that, you know? So it's pretty impressive. But let's talk about some of the sort of benefits to buying things like this around this time of year. Because you might be thinking, well, if I can't plant it, why am I buying it? So let's talk about some of the early start that you can expect from buying things like this. So let's talk about the geraniums, because that one came in a couple of different sizes.
Yep.
Is there a benefit to buying geraniums right now as opposed to later?
Yeah, for me, I can buy my annuals early. Frequently I do a small amount because I can't help myself. Okay, I go, no, I'll get to it when I get to it. And then I keep going downstairs and I keep seeing color. And then I go home and I see no color. And I go, yeah, okay, I'll just do a pot. I'll just do 2 pots. 2 pots, that's all but the difference is, I'll do it. Now, I can manage 2 pots. I can put them out in the morning if it's going to be nice. If it's not, I can leave them inside. I have a big window. I have a ton of plant light, so I'm not worried about that. But then when it's time for them to be outside, they've already been growing. So every one of these plants, every single one of them on the table will instantly benefit from going into a bigger pot, into fresh soil, something that we can start fertilizing. They're going to respond better. The longer they stay in these pots, the worse they do.
Yeah.
They're fast growers. They want to be outside. They want to be growing. So the sooner you get them and the sooner you can plant them, the healthier they're going to be, the bigger they're going to be, but also the better for us.
Yeah. And that's going to be like not necessarily, again, planting in your outside garden bed, but yeah, like you said, starting them in pots and having, like, say you wanted to build a planter right now and you're like, I love the look of geraniums and pansies and a strawberry plant in the middle there, and I can dedicate time to be moving it inside and outside. And you're right. I think a lot of people kind of take these plants because of our short growing season and be like, well, the flowers that are on them right now are going to be the only flowers that they will ever grow throughout the entire season. So why am I starting now? But it's like the gift that keeps on giving throughout our growing season. So like you plant them now and you give them that time to establish, and they're going to give you so many more blooms throughout the season.
And what you can do as well, and this is like, I find for a lot of people, people who've dealt with plants a lot have an easier time doing it. People that haven't have a harder time. Say I took this geranium home, okay? No word of a lie, one of the first things I would do, and it would hurt me even at this time of year, but I would do it, is I would take every single flower off.
Oh, really?
Yep, live headed.
Okay.
So all of the energy it's taking to put these flowers out now, it's going to put to establishing root growth.
What do you do with the flowers?
Throw them out.
You don't even put them in water?
Straight into the compost.
Okay.
I mean, I might tuck this one behind my ear for a little bit.
Okay, if you want to repurpose the flowers, please put them in water and just enjoy them.
You can, absolutely, but you live head that, you clean off all of the flowers, and now you're just down to this, and it's going to go, need to do more growing, and it'll establish, and you're going to end up with a stronger, hardier plant when you're ready to go outside.
So smart.
So, but trust me, I get it. I can do it, no problem, and I go, ugh. But at this time of year, when I've got that little sprig of color, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I'd recommend it.
Is there really like a difference between buying the bigger one versus the smaller one? Or is it like, it just kind of depends on what your goals are for your garden?
Yeah, it can depend on what the goals are, budget, how many you want, what do you, like, some people have difficulty seeing what a planter can be. So they plant the small one and they go, oh no, I need to put more stuff in. And then the planter, and you know I like to pack my planters, but the planter is too packed. There's no room for them to grow.
Yeah.
So some people want to start with a big one, then they go, okay, I know the allocated space.
Yeah, you know what I saw on the internet the other day, this person who was doing a sort of the front entryway patio planter. So they had this big tall planter that they kept outside, and then they just put like an insert inside to reduce the weight. And what they would do is they would plant it up around this time of year, and then they would put it out on the warmer days and then just bring it inside overnight and on the colder days. And it was so simple because like you get sort of like your front of your house, which is seen by everybody, and you can have beautiful blooms and enjoy them that early in the season, but then it's just like an easy bring it inside at the end of the day.
I see the back of my house significantly more than I see the front. So if I'm going to do a planter, I'm going to do it at the back.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to do it so that I get to see it. But, you know,
and it gets more sun, right? And it gets more sun, right?
The front gets more sun.
Ah, darn.
Yeah, the front gets more sun. But again, I'm going to be moving my planters. So wherever it's going to bring you joy, that's where you want to do it. And there's also another reason about maybe buying the geraniums. You don't have to plant them. So what I said, they will do better in a bigger pot. But maybe you come in and you see something. I don't know where it went to. That's the cucumber. I think you've got the... Oh, no, right here. So maybe you come in and you see this.
Like the golden zebra zucchini?
And you go, oh, I haven't seen this before. What if they don't get any more in?
Exactly.
Snag it now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like... I feel like there's two types of people at certain times of year. You have people like my sister who message me in March and she's like, ha ha ha, I just bought you a Christmas gift. And I go, what? And then you've got people who are like December 24th and they're like, what do you want for Christmas?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And no judgment. I've been on both sides of that spectrum. But I find it's the same thing. People come in and they go, oh, look at all these plants. I'll get them later. Then they come back and they can't find the ones they want.
Yeah, totally.
So they settle and they leave with something and they're happy, but it's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
Then you got the people who come in and they're like, oh, I'm taking some of that and I'm taking some of that. And they get a little bit ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like the zucchini that you would buy in the springtime is about the same size as what you would buy right now, right? So you're almost getting like a little bit ahead if you want that specific variety. You're like, I've never tried golden zebra zucchini before. And now you're a little bit ahead because you've bought it a little bit earlier.
Because a lot of the professional growers, they stagger the growth. So they'll start their, and I'm making this up. That's one part of the industry I've never been in is the professional growing side. Other than what I see at Golden Acre, but we don't do annuals. But they'll probably start some of their herbs and tomatoes maybe in February. And then maybe middle of February, they do another run. And then beginning of March. So that they can get these early ones out. And then so that's why you come. And like you said, the May long weekend, you'll still find tomatoes this size on our shelves.
Yeah.
Right? And they're the ones that have come out a bit later. But if you've bought this one, if you've got your little Bing, I'm not making fun of anybody because we love Maiko, but it's really hard to not say that with an Italian accent.
It's true.
Too much Sopranos.
Yeah.
You might not find this one, or it might be this size, where you take this one home now, you nurture it a bit, you put it in lights, or you put it in that front window. May it's this big. You know, it's got one flower now, maybe then. Remember that the tomato 2 years ago in my office that had 40 flowers on it at this time of year? That's all it takes.
Would you also live-head a tomato plant that had flowers if you got it from the garden center?
I have done to stop them taking any energy. They actually, there's a whole thing, I've seen it. Now, I haven't done it, but they talk about it, is you should always take the first flower off your peppers.
Oh, okay.
So when your peppers are ready, you should always take the first flower, pull all the lower leaves off so you got a bit of a bare stem, so it puts more energy into the rest of its development. I haven't done it. I've never had a problem with my peppers. I don't know if it would be that much of a game changer. I've seen people do it. I've never seen anybody do it in real life, but I have seen it on the internet.
I mean, if you're a little, loosey-goosey in the garden and you're wanting to try something new, maybe give it a try.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Can we also talk about greenhouses?
Yes.
Can you keep these kinds of plants in greenhouses? Does it follow the same principle as taking them back inside overnight?
It's a bit more blurred. So the greenhouse is going to protect from frost. Okay, so make sure if you've got ventilation hatches, make sure they're closed.
Yeah.
They're not going to get hit with frost, but a greenhouse isn't going to do much if it gets down to -5.
Right. -5 even, hey?
Yeah. So, they might be okay. But you're kind of on that cusp. I know some people who start their greenhouses early. I actually know a couple of people. One is a friend of Golden Acres, and they have a heated greenhouse. Now, they don't heat it year round.
Oh, okay.
It's not like -40 in December.
I just got so excited.
Well, like, I heat my greenhouse year round. I also pay NMAX $3 million a year. But they do have a heater for the cooler spring nights.
Cool.
So if it is going to get down, it's not uncommon here for us to get daytime highs of 12 and overnight highs, or lows, I should say, of -2, -3.
Right.
Your greenhouse is going to trap heat. It's going to hold it in, but they're not insulated.
Yeah.
That heat will escape, and you might get some coolness in. Probably isn't going to be enough to kill because it's not frost, but it is going to be a little chilly. They run a heater just to keep it above 0.
Cool.
It's never going to get cold. They have a thermostat. They have everything set up. Temperature drops. It kicks in, keeps their plants warm, and they're out in their greenhouse, depending on snow and whatnot and conditions, but they're out in their greenhouse early, mid-April.
Yeah. And
Yep.
then that kind of saves space in the house too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you can even buy, my dad used to love his. It wasn't a big greenhouse. He had one of those little patio cold frames.
Oh my gosh, I've seen those. They're
Yeah.
so dreamy.
So he would bring his plants out,
Yeah.
let them get all the sun, and then in the evening he would just, so then he's not bringing the plants inside, making anything dirty.
Yeah.
You can water them. It gets a little bit cooler during the day. You just leave it zipped up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I
Yep.
love that. So like greenhouses,
Yeah.
thumbs up.
So the rule of thumb is a greenhouse can, again, not hard rules, it's gardening.
Yes.
A greenhouse can extend your growing season by 2 months.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're early April instead of May, and the weather starts getting inclement end of September,
Yeah.
beginning of October. You can sometimes get all the way through October.
Cool.
So in our climate, you can extend 2 months, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I know we've been talking about it, bringing plants inside and bringing them outside, but let's actually get down to the nitty gritty of that process, hardening off.
Yep.
Because I think when you're buying plants this early, you do need to keep that in mind. If you keep them all the time inside, then putting them directly outside after the May long weekend could pose a little bit of shock for them. They're
Yep.
not used to that. So what is the process of hardening off, like officially?
So people say hardening off. I prefer the term climatizing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wait, acclimatizing or climatizing?
Climatizing.
Climatizing.
Because when we think harden off, my brain does, and I think a lot of people's, we immediately think of the cold.
Uh-huh.
But it also goes the other way.
Yeah.
So I buy a plant that's being grown in the greenhouse, and it's nice and cool, and it's a perfect temperature, and then I blast it outside into plus 30.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've done it, but you put a plant outside and you go, oh my God, it's so hot and sunny, it's going to love it. And then you look at the plant and it's like hanging there. And it's, the same thing. How many times, you go down to Mexico in January and you're on the plane with all the Canadians and everybody's like, yeah, Mexico, woo. And the next day, most of them are like bright red, hungover, sitting in the shade.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not used to it. They've done too much too soon. So climatizing goes both ways, and you got a plant, it's really warm. It's a good idea to just put it outside, let it get used to it, keep an eye. It starts wilting, move it into the shade, bring it inside, give it some water, get it used to getting that amount of sunlight and heat. This time of year, normally we're not worried about that. So we're putting it out, and what I like to do, again, everything weather permitting, but say it's pretty standard. Like this, past week it was a 3-4 degree variance each day, so pretty standard. And what I'll do is I'll bring them in every night at 7:30. But by the end of the week, I'm bringing them in every night at like 10 to 8.
Yeah.
So every day they just extend an extra 5 minutes, 7 minutes outside, and I just bring them in a little bit later. Maybe I put them out. I'm putting them out right when I leave from work. In about another month, I'm putting them out as soon as I'm awake. Mm-hmm. So they're getting that extra time to get used to it. And then when they're planted, you lessen the transplant shock.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I would also recommend timers to make sure that you remember, because I've heard so many stories of people forgetting them overnight and they're like, I had one job and oh no, you did it. See, there we go.
I've did it. I've done it more than once.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've,
Which can be devastating because it's like, you think it's middle of April now, and we've still got maybe a month before we can actually be planting outside at least.
I left, I'm so glad it lived last year.
Oh, you're lucky.
I left a cactus outside.
A cactus?
And I took it outside. Beautiful, beautiful day. Hot, warm, sunny. Took my cactus. So I moved some of my house plants outside. Not a ton of them. But I was like, I'm going to give my cacti a little treat. Took it outside. Loved it. And I brought it in at night. put it outside. And the night wasn't cold enough to do it any harm. But I wasn't working, and I was like, if it rains overnight. Kept doing it. Well, I forgot about it, and we got one of those summer hailstorms.
Oh,
and,
that was that cactus. Yeah.
And it was flooded. And I totally forgot about it. It wasn't until the next day, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it was submerged in water. It had been hit with cold temperatures. We know how cold it gets. I drained it. I brought it inside, put it in a heat lamp, like little heat mat for it.
Oh my gosh, you're not in Kansas anymore, bud.
I felt like a neglectful dad. I was just like, oh my God.
Oh, no doubt. That plant guilt is real.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
Hardy little critter. But I easily could have lost it. And I absolutely have done it with my annuals.
Yeah.
I've put them outside, tomatoes, seedlings, flowers. I'm a lot better now, but I love... Most people have one of these in their pocket.
Yeah.
Most of these you can set daily reminders.
Yes.
You know,
cell phones are good for that.
Exactly. Hey Siri, hey Google, hey whoever. I don't know who does Samsung, but remind me every morning at 7:00 to put the plants out and at 8:00 to bring them in.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's also talk about some other things that you should be keeping in mind when you're doing plants like this. Obviously, the space. So when you're in the garden center, it can be really easy to be like, I'm just going to get everything. because like we were talking about before, we're in this transitional period and we're craving plants and we're craving color. And say you haven't been in the garden center for a while, it's an exciting time. Like the greenhouse is buzzing right now. So it can be really easy to kind of go a little bit overboard. But then you have to realize that like, you get them home, you're thinking about how much space you have. Can you really accommodate this amount of plants? You have to also think about the time. Can you really can you commit to watering this amount, right? Because this isn't like little tiny seedlings. Like the geranium seedling, sure, it's small, but I think you said it a few weeks back where like, you know, that little one takes up a lot less space than having like 16 of a 4-inch pot, right?
Yep.
So like you can it's kind of like when you go to Costco and you're buying a couch and it looks a lot smaller in Costco than it looks in your house. Like maybe just kind of take it one step at a time and get a few plants or have some sort of a vision just to save yourself from that.
And just touch on watering really quick.
Yeah.
These aren't house plants. These are going to be like on a nice day, you've got them outside in the full sun, you're going to be watering daily.
Yes.
Not your house plants that, can I water this? And it's once a week, twice a week. Some of these are going to need to be watered daily. They're growing fast. They're drinking. They're in the sun. If you can't commit to putting them outside, bring them inside, watering daily. Yeah, less is more sometimes.
Yeah, so another thing to keep in mind. And actually, while you're talking about houseplants there, I know a lot of folks would like the opportunity to bring their houseplants out during the summertime.
Yep.
They also have to go through a climatizing process, right?
Yeah, some of them, how many houseplants do not like direct sunlight, and we go and we put it direct. And the main reason I don't put, why I do my cactus, some of my succulents, they're a lot more resistant to bugs.
Yeah.
Main reason I don't put my houseplants outside is because the aphids and the spider mites are like, oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And then I bring them indoors and they're like, double thank you.
Yes,
Yeah. So I'm not a huge fan. I found some ladybirds on my houseplants and I was like,
inside?
Yeah, I took pictures of them.
How'd that happen?
I've had the doors open. I've been outside. I disturbed the bug hotel.
Oh, yeah.
I just rolled it, so I'm sure some of them got out.
Yeah.
Made their way indoors. Maybe they were hitching a ride on me.
Hey, I hear that's good luck, so take it, right?
I'm never going to complain seeing a ladybird walk across my plant.
100%.
If there's nothing for it to eat, go find something. If there is something for it to eat, you're very welcome, buddy.
Yeah, and so far we've talked about, extending the growing season, it being a less stressful transition for your plants, more varieties being available, better plant health, tackling any issues that you may find on the plants early. So something else that I might want to also touch on is, and this is obviously not for everybody, but we kind of think about the social aspect of buying these plants early. And so we try to cater to everybody here at Golden Acre. And I think one of the biggest things is like avoiding crowds. Some people really like to really take comfort in the comforting aspect of gardening. And so I think that's why a lot of people start things from seed or, kind of do the more manageable tasks. And I think that, we know how busy it can get at garden centers, and that goes for everywhere, no matter where you go and buy your plants. And so having opportunities to buy things early in a more quieter environment can help a lot of people.
Yep, absolutely. You don't feel the pressure. It's not as hot.
Yeah.
It's not as loud.
Yeah.
Carts going everywhere. You can't. I know for a fact, not so much with plants because I kind of know what I want, but there are certain environments that I've been in and I'm just like, okay, I don't care anymore. I'm out. Like, I'm done. I cannot stay in. This environment is not conducive to my mental health.
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And it's a damn shame. I'm not saying I enjoy that, but I'm like, I have to make a decision. How important is this to me? And I'm going to give a hack. My favorite time to come shopping at Golden Acre, normally when Jenny and I do it, is a weeknight at around 7:30 at night.
Golden hour.
It's not as hot, fewer people. That light, it's the sun has gone down a bit. It's filtered through the Lexan of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Everything has a glow to it. Not as busy, but it's warm. It's comfort. That's like,
oh my gosh, you've just given me like a reaction. I love that.
That's my time to be in the greenhouse.
Okay, I like
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
Most people, I get it. We're busy. We got, Harry's rugby season is kicked off. So you're busy on weekdays. Work and then kids practice, making supper, walking the dog, everything life's going to throw at you. You have the weekend, you're like, I'm going to the garden centre. So's 80% of Calgary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we love to see you all.
Yes.
And we're here. Webinar season is kicked off. Like, we have a ton of stuff. We're here, but if you want that little hack, weeknight evenings in May, we're open until 9. Come at around 7:30.
Love that.
You're not rushing the staff.
Yeah.
A lot of times, too, the staff aren't busy. So if you need help, the staff, they're watering. Everything's a bit more quiet.
Yeah.
They can come and talk to you. It's 10 out of 10 time to come shopping.
I love that. See, honestly, there's lots of benefits to coming to the greenhouse this time of year or during the gardening season. Definitely encourage you to go out and see what your local garden center is doing this time of year, what they've got going on. You might find some garden centers across the country a little bit more advanced than what you see here, but this is the Alberta reality.
Yep. And
we do what we can.
Shout out, some might not be as advanced as us.
Yeah, true enough, hey? But that does wrap us up for this week. Make sure you're following along for more spring fun. We're just dipping our toes into it. We're so excited. This podcast is sponsored by Golden Acre Home Garden in Calgary, Alberta. If you're in the area, pop by for a visit. Grab all of these fun spring goodies and lots more. I'm just so excited. I'm before I even see you at the garden center, I always go through and just see what's going on because it's literally buzzing in there.
And you can tell everybody, I love it at this time of year, everybody, you go downstairs, customers and staff, and everybody's got that little, pun intended, spring in their step.
Me too. It's so
Everybody's
nice.
just a little bit up. Everybody's like, ooh, we're getting the color, the smells. It's a good time.
It's feeling good. We do love this community, so help us keep it growing. Share with your friends. We have a poll down below if you're on Spotify or if you're on YouTube. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think. What are you looking forward to seeing this spring? What's growing in your local garden center? We'd love to know because we're nerds like that. We just love garden centers. But we'll see you next week for more.
Bye, everyone.